Hi there. Many of you are wondering what this is all about. I've been printing parts, designing parts. I've also been making printers, modifying printers, and today it's a little bit different because I'm following a build from the Facebook group 45th and Ender Bender. So what is this about? It's basically having an infinite Z concept from an Ender 3, Ender 3 or Ender 3 Pro. Basically it's the same thing. If you have an Ender 3 regular and you want to do this on it, go ahead. If you have an Ender 3 Pro and you're willing to do it, go ahead. If you're going to purchase one, I would recommend going with the Ender 3 Pro because you will get the minimal power supply and also a few extra things that, like the board. If you're lucky enough to have a 4.2.7 motherboard on it, it'll be great. Otherwise, you'll be with the original board, which eventually you need to swap out. But besides that, if you do decide to get this used, check the reviews. Unlike me, I got this one used. It wasn't a cheap buy. With $20 more, I would have gotten one that was working, used but working. This one seems that they hammered all the parts. They scratched all the parts. Even the limit switches are bent. It seems to me that they built this out from scratch. From not scrap. From salvage components that doesn't work. How about that? You can see my reflection in my hand. I talk with my hands as well. But besides the point, let's start with this part here. I already assembled this. And this here is that part down there. And this is printed with PETG just because it's near a heated surface. But really you could print this in PLA or you can print in any of the material that you want, as long as it's durable and strong. So I printed this part and I installed it already. Now, there is a good PDF manual from the group, from Ike, and it tells you which bolts to use, size, and everything. In my case, I didn't want to use the same bolts that it came with because I didn't want this to protrude from the bottom. So what I did was I went to my local hardware store. This is a metric 5 cap bolt and a nut, a nylon lock nut, and a washer. This washer is number 10, so you have metric and side mixed up here. So what I did was, instead of placing it this way, I placed it the other way around. Why? Because I couldn't get my socket in there to tighten this correctly. Now, it's pretty much basics here. I used this washer, right, so it could serve as a mounting surface to distribute pressure over this plastic. Even though the plastic is strong enough, I just don't want to risk it. So here we go. The washer fits in there nicely. And if I get it in there, hold on. This is the bad thing about having, alright, there it is. Is it there? Yes, it is there. But having one hand to hold the phone, because this is a phone, and one for the other stuff. So I have that there, and then I would place it through the part. In this case, it would go this way. You see this? Let me see. All right, there, that ridge there, that would go this way, and then you would just tighten it. Here's a bad close-up. There it is. I'll get there. There it is. Now you can see it. All right. So what I did was I just used 4 of these, placed it on there, and then called it good. And I tightened those. So that's the first step. Well, actually, the first step really would be to take everything apart. Again, the manual tells you what to take apart from the Ender, and so that way you don't have to take it all apart. I decided, since this was in a used unit, it didn't give me a good vibe, I just decided to take it all apart. This here, for example, the screws were loose on this, right? You can't see the scratches, but I tried to, I did a little bit of touch-up with a Sharpie, right? Sharpie, and I touched it up a bit. But these were loose, and when I looked at this, one was this way, the other one was that way, so I loosened them all up, placed them as flat as I could. I just left them on the floor here in my basement, and I placed it there. I pressed hard on the bottom, not too hard, just enough, and I tightened two on each end, and then I tightened the rest. When I tighten in a crisscross fashion. So I go, if I start here, I go bottom, up across, down, up across. If it's a 5, if it's a 4, if it's a 5, you do the same thing, but then you'll keep on turning around. Similar to the lug nuts on your tires. Now, what if this was an Ender 3? This is from my Ender 3 Pro. If it's Ender 3, well, you won't be using this plate, right? You'll be using a different plate, which I have right here. Also printed in PETG. This is in gray. Same thing, right? Goes in there. It also explains you place T-nuts on this, right? And you have the 2 holes. So in this case, you just need 2 screws and bolts. That's for my friend Tim, who's also doing this build. He likes to challenge me every once in a while. I have a couple of good friends that does that. The other one's McGee. He always challenges me to think outside the box and also to think about troubleshooting. I had a recent problem with a printer, and if I would have followed his recommendation, I would have found the issue easier, or the root cause. So now that I have this part here, what's the next part? Well, according to the PDF, or the assembly manual, this is the part that comes next. Now, the way I decided to install this, pretty much the way that I came from factory. So the 2 big holes, right, goes on this side, and the 2 small holes goes on that other side. I'm saying side because I don't know if you've seen this as your left or your right. Again, you could use the 4 screws with the rollers. I decided not to. I don't want this to go too much, so I got some M5 and some more lock nuts. These you could get from the wheels that were on that, and the screws as well, but I decided to go with a shorter screw. So all you need to do is put them in there, right? Can't see well. All right, I'll put that one there. Let's see. Okay. Yep, I have one's in there, and the same thing with the others. So I would do this one up here and the other 2. Then I would just tighten those. So I'm going to pause the video for a minute to do that and continue with the next part. Oh, please note, this is the same orientation that I had on my Ender Pro initially. So if you look at it, this is the front currently, right? I will look at this as the belt going in and to my left. All right, again, in and to my left. All right, I'm going to pause this and I'll be back in a moment. Here it is installed. You don't have to tighten this with a cheater bar. You don't need an impact wrench. All you need is a socket. I'm using an 8mm socket and your Allen wrench here. Tighten it. Excuse me. Just tighten it so. Remember, it is PETG, it is strong, but it is plastic. This will never give that easily, and I don't think this will strip. The plastic will break eventually. So with that said, it's installed, and you can see it protrudes a little bit out. I could fix that if I wanted to, but I don't want to. I could do it if with a washer underneath here, but not needed. This does not move. So we'll leave it like that. The next thing that comes on top of that will be the heater plate. Now, my heater plate is totally disassembled, right? If you have an Ender 3 Pro, you're going to have to strip out that magnetic sheet that it has on it. Fairly easy. Just start from one point, see a good movie, keep on peeling it off until it comes all out. I took out the screws and everything because I wanted to do something. The manner or the proper way to install this once you're ready is with the connector towards the front. Initially, it's towards the back. Okay, let me see if I can get this. That's how it comes initially. Now you're going to rotate this. So this way, it's towards the front. I'm calling this my front here because the display will be on this end here when I get this finished. So this will be on the left side towards the display. Now, why did I take this apart? There's 2 things I'm considering. First, I'm going to cut these off. I'm going to put ferrules. If you're not subscribed to Kersey's Fabrication, I would recommend you to do so. Cool guy, replies back, human just like you and me. and he did a video on the Under 5 we recommend playing ferrules on, and I've got that kit that he has on as a link, and I got those and I put them on everything every time I can. So this one is not going to be different, so I'm going to put ferrules on this. Now the other thing also, this does not move, so I could modify this. So instead of using that strainer, this one, I could use something else, but it's all depending, because this will not move, unlike the other time that the bed would move. But I could put them back for time's sake, or I could do some modification later down the road. We'll see. The other thing is just the mister. They don't go bad that often, but when they do, it's a pain. You're going to have to disassemble everything. So my thought is to cut this, put a connector in there, so that way in the future, if I do get a thermistor, I could just swap it out. Now again, as everybody else, I want to do this build ASAP. I mean, not as a speeding bullet, but I do want to do this today, this century, not next year. So I might just leave that and just place the ferrule, which is the fastest thing. I might place that strainer, that OEM strainer back on. It's not going to do much. Now I am going to replace the springs with these silicone spring. Everyone recommends them. Tim has it on his machines. I place it on my other machines, my other enders. They work great. I mean, I'm not adjusting knobs. I do have one, which is called a Tolly. It's a modified Ender 3 Pro with a total build height of 500 millimeters. And I place these as well. That one does not have a BL touch. My other machines do. So this is what I'm going to place here. And I got all the parts for that here. So that's what we're doing. And I'm going to place these. So I'll just show you. I'm going to just do a dry fit of that in a moment. And that'll be the end of this part. So hold on, I'll try to do this fast. I'll be back. Here we have the bed assembled with the bolts here. This is what I'm referring to, that it should be in the front to the left. I place this cap here just so you can remember to place it back on with tie wraps here. I still want to do that ferrules up here. Let me grab this out of the way, sorry. So I want to put the ferrules there. I might want to splice the connector for the thermistor. I might leave it as that. We'll see. And that's it for this part here. So again, this cap goes here, that part. As it goes, I placed in the orange silicone, let's call them springs for now. So there they are. Right? And of course, there it is. That's the shortest one. Sure goes with that part. When I started this, of course, I had to place the shortest one here. And I looked, I said, oh, all the other three are the same. This one's supposed to be shorter, yes. The first one I placed on was the shortest one. I think my brain wanted me to start here, but I decided to start here. So, brain is sorry. Well, my brain is shy. Brain is a wonderful thing to waste. Mine is not too new, but nicely used. So this ends the first portion, where I would say, if you get to this part, you're going good. Keep on printing the rest in the order that they appear, and I will continue assembling this and adding onto this print, making a video as well. All right, hopefully I'll take some pictures along the way, and I can post these pictures as well. Well, everyone have a great one. Enjoy your build, and as I always say, print, build, and enjoy. Take care.